Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday, presented by Cinematic Visions, and another edition of Danny and Tim's Music Scene. We've got a wide variety of potpourri. This is sort of the gumbo of episodes, as we've got a lot of bits and nuts and fruits and candies of music and memories and things like that. We'll go back in time. We'll go right up to date. We've got a documentary that Tim has seen. It's always great to get documentary recommendations. We can all use more on our streaming for sure. Hey, why not? But we've got things that include mentions of Elvis Costello, U2, Bruce Springsteen, Queens of the Stone Age maybe. We'll see. Going back to somebody who worked super hard to get a one-hit wonder and actually ended up with a couple of hits. All kinds of different things. And I'll go back to the 60s for a recommendation on some fun old videos you can watch for, to me, a very undervalued band. And I won't even say who it is right now. And Tim and I will explore some things that work in our relationships or don't work musically. So it's all part of the mix today on Danny and Tim's Music Scene. It's always part of Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday. We always have fun. We always provide information. And when I'm done, I always have a smile on my face, and I know you do too. So Tim Finn and I will explore the music scene in a variety of different ways coming up on Danny and Tim's Music Scene, part of Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday, presented by Cinematic Visions.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Visions' goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300.
It's always a pleasure to catch up with Dr. Brad Woodle from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. There are 8 locations all around Kansas City, including the newest one in Raytown.
In Raytown, we just joined Raytown July 1st. We took over for a retiring doctor, Dr. David Frey, and we are just honored to see all of his patients and take care of the Raytown community.
And communities all around Kansas City with the best of care in a wide variety of fashions.
We do chiropractic using multiple techniques, acupuncture, disc decompression therapy, cold laser therapy, different physiotherapies, exercises, whatever you need for your bones, muscles, joints, and nerve pain, we can help.
Find that help at Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture, 8 locations all around Kansas City. Visit ASFCA.com.
If you'd like to join these and other fine sponsors and market your business on Kansas City's #1 rated podcast, contact us at Danny@DannyClinkscale.com. Look forward to working with you.
Welcome back. Well, Tim's birthday was recently, and his wife's birthday was even more recently, so they've been sort of celebrating some birthdays together or apart, and he takes some time today as we tape, basically, on his wife's birthday. But it made me start thinking about the fact that each of us are very musically oriented. Obviously, it was Tim's vocation and still is, and his avocation, and in my world, my wife's an opera singer, but she enjoys all different kinds of music, and I actually have come to enjoy opera some. She's got some recitals coming up this fall, and we watch a lot of music together, as you'll hear later when we talk about a little rabbit hole we dove down to a week or so ago. But we also have 1 or 2 things that are just no-go in my house for ever watching, and one of those is anything to do with Billy Joel. Another, and we'll explore him a little bit more later, is birthday for Elvis Costello, who turned 70. That's another one we can't go near. There's some sort of guilty pleasure bands I like. She's not much of an Aerosmith fan, but we have mostly simpatico as far as music, but there's a few red lights in our musical relationship. Anything like that for you, Tim?
Yeah, there is. My wife's perspective on music is a little different. She took voice growing up. She took ballet. She was in music theater, so she knows lots of show tunes. So that's kind of her background. But her parents also listened to a lot of oldies, 60s and 70s. So she knows there aren't many songs from back then that she doesn't know. And she loves that era of songwriting. She loves songwriting. She loves harmonies, melodies. She studied music. She studied voice in college for a while. She's been in a couple of bands. She's in a tribute band to The Cure called Magnificence. She does harmony vocals there and plays the glockenspiel and plays the flute. So she's very musical. Our tastes overlap a lot, but only because I too like the songwriting. Beatles. I like Todd Rundgren. I like just the great songwriters. I love Split Enz. I love Neil Finn. I love Crowded House. Squeeze. All those kind of bands. A lot of British bands. So if they're songwriting, she'll listen to it, and so there's a lot of overlap. The stuff she doesn't really like, and I will grant her this. It's a lot. Most of that I don't like either is modern country, but there is some I like.
Right.
But if there's anything I like that sounds adjacent to it, she doesn't really want to hear it. So it's or she goes, all right, I think it's time to change. It wasn't really a request, it was an order. But so there isn't much, because her brother is a sound engineer. I told you she also listens for that stuff, studio stuff, and because she's recorded records, so her listening plane is different from mine. But as far as just music goes, it can be loud, it can be noisy. She is a devout fan of the Pixies. We saw them at Starlight, and she knew every song. So it's not about. And she loves Dinosaur Jr. A lot of '90s stuff. So yeah, I can't really pinpoint.
Right.
As long as there's some artfulness to the music and some sense of creativity, and it's not just noise, because her brother loves noisy bands, and she's got no time for that.
That's really cool. Well, I mentioned that one of the no-goes, and I'm sure I've told this story before, maybe even recently, I just wanted to watch like one song from a Billy Joel Shea Stadium concert. She said, no. So I can't even do that. And I just said, come on, it's The Entertainer. It's a funny song. You'd enjoy it. It's got Calliope in it, whatever. No, none of that. I can't stand him. So anyway, and somebody that she actually admires and likes to read about him as a person, but can't listen to him sing, is Elvis Costello, who celebrated a birthday. I like Elvis Costello. He is a very creative songwriter. He settled into the Nashville scene. He's married into that scene as well. But I guess he's somebody for some people that just because of, sometimes the vocal quality of somebody puts people off. It doesn't me, but it does her.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rush is a prime example of that.
Yes.
People just can't stand Geddy Lee's voice for a minute. I've seen them many times. After 2.5 hours is like, okay, I need a different frequency. Sorry, but that happens. And I think he's got a voice that grates on people. But he was someone who just blindsided me when he first came out. I remember hearing him, one of his first records, and I was in college. It was playing, and it's just what is that? And I'm buying it because it might have been radio, or anyway, that early stuff where he was playing with punk and British pop, and he's one of the greatest songwriters of that time. He's gone up into taking odysseys into places I'm not that interested in. The thing with the Qantas Quartet. So he married a jazz singer, Dinah Krall. So he has gone places lately that I respect, but I don't really investigate or explore. But I've seen him many times, and he can still perform and appreciate the music that we all come to see him perform. He still loves those songs. He'll arrange them a little differently, but yeah, his voice can bother some people. I don't know. My wife is probably more on. I appreciate his music a lot, and the voice doesn't get in my way, but it's not my favorite voice.
Well, you mentioned that your wife likes oldies in the 60s and 70s. Well, we were finishing up an old movie or whatever, like we usually do, and we started watching some videos and old music videos on YouTube. And I was the one who was the DJ in this case, and I wanted to go see some old Rascals stuff. They were the Young Rascals first, and then they were the Rascals and had multiple huge hits, Good Lovin', Groovin', People Gotta Be Free, It's a Beautiful Morning, on and on. And I think that Felix Cavaliere, who is really the leader of the band, is really one of the most underrated blue-eyed soul singers ever, and one of the, I don't know, sort of that, Booker T and Stevie Winwood and Felix are maybe the best known from that kind of era or eras later for playing the Hammond B3 organ. I love the Rascals. They are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I can't say that nobody knows who they are or anything like that, but I think they're very undervalued. I think their music holds up incredibly well. When you watch the old videos, they're wildly entertaining like on the Ed Sullivan Show or whatever. They do a lot of the stuff you can tell is live, and the drummer is cool and plays in a unique way and is very flashy, and the sort of front man, Felix Cavaliere, is really the singer, but he usually sits in the back and just plays the organ. And the other guy sings a couple of the songs he's sang on the hits, but mostly he stands there and plays the tambourine and runs the maracas and looks cool. I'll watch the Rascals anytime.
You mentioned their songs, but I remember hearing them on the radio. I was probably in first or second grade, and it stood out. And asking for the singles, Groovin' is amazing. It's a Beautiful Morning. How Can I Be Sure? You mentioned that.
Right.
Just drop dead, like you mentioned, blue-eyed soul classics is as good as the Righteous Brothers and others who maybe have been elevated a little higher. But I don't. Their best songs are timeless. I still have them on rotation, one way or another, and they don't sound like they're from Jersey, which is really
right.
Which is really an accomplishment. But it's just that there was so much absorption into soul music by white bands then, and they were part of that intersection where they wanted to just bleed soul, soulfulness, and they did it instrumentally and vocally.
And to me, if you're out in your deck and you throw Good Lovin' on and you can't get up and move around, then you probably are never going to do it. And the thumping bass part and then into the Hammond B3 part is really, really cool as well. And I think Little Steven inducted them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if I remember.
That would make sense. Yeah.
And Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run was one of 4 albums, I think, on Sunday that had an anniversary, and you did a very clever job of like decade by decade. There were 4 super prominent albums that came out on that date.
Yeah, so Born to Run would have been the youngest, which came out in 1975 on the 25th of August. And then Sweet Old World by Lucinda Williams came out. It would have been Graceland by Paul Simon, came out in 1986. And then Sweet Old World by Lucinda Williams came out in, I think, 92 or so, 93 or 4. And then, well, I guess it was 3 decades.
Okay.
Because
2 of them were the
Misinformation same. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill came out in the very late 90s. So it was almost 2000. But just 4. I think they're all epic. Lucinda's album is lesser known than the other 3. Apple Music named The Miseducation the best album ever, and The Bridge just did a 919 greatest albums, and it was pretty high up there. So that won a ton of Grammys. It's a huge record. Graceland was Paul Simon's tour de force after putting out records that some of his critics didn't have a lot of good things to say about, even though I like everything he's done. I will disagree, but yeah, that album really turned his career around, and then Born to Run was essentially Springsteen sort of walking away from the first part of his career to be more of a bar band ensemble, none of these epic narrative stories, operatic and big. And so many lyrics. Especially the first two records were like that. And Born to Run was